Hey! Good to see you again. Man, time is just ticking, right? So let's fill it. Fill it with the movie. Today, we're gonna talk about Summer Rental. It's about this family man, played by John Candy, who kind of has a nervous breakdown a little bit at work, and so they force him to go on a vacation. They go to Florida, and lots of horrible things happen, but also he meets a motley crew of a ship called the Barnacle, and they sail in a regatta. Also, this movie was directed by Carl Reiner. This movie has a very low score on Rotten Tomatoes. I was surprised because it's not terrible. It does go a little slow, but I kind of like that. So let's get in to the crew of the Barnacle because it is a pure delight. So the Barnacle is a restaurant that's just a ship on the docks that the Chester family goes to after they get kicked out of a lobster restaurant. And it's run by a man named Scully, who is played by Rip Torn. This was made in '85, by the way. Rip Torn is like, you can tell he's a really talented actor because there are just these really sparkling moments where he's very sincere and authentic. And I think that's pretty astounding considering the whole movie Scully legit talks like a pirate.
Hello, my buccaneers. My name's Scully.
Like, I don't know if he's actually a pirate.
I don't think you want to know that.
But you never hear Scully not talk in a pirate accent. But my two favorite members of the Barnacle, crew of the Barnacle, are Angus.
Now hold your wind, you crusty skullet.
Who is Scottish? Like...
Well, your gunnels are fraught to the opinions, and your pipsman is wanting some class.
And he's played by Richard Hurd, who is a really famous actor too. He does a good job, but it is weird. Like, it is out of place. And he comes in maybe halfway through the movie. Like, you are not introduced to Angus very early on in the movie. He just comes in halfway through, and then the whole point is he's looking for a sail. It's just like, who is this guy? How do you know him? And then my favorite member of the Barnacle crew is Yorku. He, I think, is credited as pirate musician. And the actor's name is actually Harry Yorku, but they refer to him as Yorku in the movie. I tried to look this guy up because I was like, who is this man? He is a delight. And he was in like 3 movies. There really isn't that much information about him. So that's a bummer. But you know what? I would love to know Yorku's story. He's just, you see him early on playing a piano. Just living his life, and you're like, how did you end up in Florida? You know, does this crew move around? Like, you know, did you grow up in Florida? Did you grow up somewhere else? You know, what's your story, Yorku?
Yorku, you're so pretty.
You're a baby, the beautiful.
I guess this movie was actually filmed in Florida, so that's interesting. I love that the main character, Jack Chester, is played by John Candy, is an air traffic controller, which is such a weird profession for someone to have. I mean, I get why they do it, because then it's like he talks about how he used to sail and how he wanted to be a pilot, and so it's all about like navigating, I guess. So it kind of makes sense. Oh, I guess at the very end when they're sailing in the regatta, he like sees a plane in the air and somehow that helps him win the regatta. There's also a part where Jack Chester and his family go to a lobster restaurant, and that's like where they meet Jack Chester meets his arch nemesis for this film, who's just some rich like yacht club type who always wins the regattas every year. And there's a crazy part where like Jack Chester, all he wants is to eat some lobster because apparently that's a thing. So they're waiting in line forever, and then they're finally going to be seated, and there's only enough lobster left for their family. And then this guy comes in, yacht club man, comes in, and he gets seated before them, and then he takes their lobsters. But so then there's this whole confrontation where Jack Chester's like, this is my table, and these are my lobsters. And then yacht club man, I think it's too much. He gets very aggressive, is like, this is your table? And then he like slaps his wife and he's like, is this your wife? And then he stands up and starts to unzip his pants.
Is this your belt? Are these your shorts? Tut, 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 tut.
I don't, why? I feel like Yacht Club Man reads true. Because I have known some yacht club people in my life, not because I own a yacht, because I worked with or for them, and they're a lot like that. Yeah, they're pretty rude.
He's a squid stick.
There's a part where he's eating a hard-boiled egg in his car on the way to work. It made me think of my boyfriend's dad likes to eat hard-boiled eggs for breakfast, and one time he was like, half the egg came off with the shell. Yeah, that's what I thought about during that scene. Some quality mullets in this movie as well. So there's also a part where he has a neighbor, a couple, and the lady has had a boob job, and she asks him to touch her fake boobs. Which, I don't know if that's really funny to anyone except men. You know, it's like, it's also like, really, that woman, and then throughout the whole movie, the woman's like accosting all these men, being like, touch my boobies, like, do they feel real? And it's like, a woman wouldn't do that. You know what she would do? She would ask her lady friends to touch her boobies for her. Because those are the people who would be honest with you. You can tell that some men wrote this movie. Yeah, I don't know if you really need to watch this movie. You could probably skip it. Anyway, watch a movie from the 80s or the 90s. Watch a movie with John Candy in it. You know, if you like Mel Brooks movies, Spaceballs, John Candy's in that, so you can watch that and that'd be fine. And while you're watching this movie, you can think about all your family members that you've been to the beach with. You can remember all of the motley crew you usually hang out with when you're allowed to be around people, your Anguses and your Yorkoos. You can remember all of them and think of them fondly. You can remember when you were allowed to stop on the beach and actually stay there and have barbecues. You can remember what it's like to look at the hot lifeguards who have mullets. You can just remember all of the fond, wonderful things that we used to do before all of this happened. Yeah, so happy watching, hope you enjoyed, and drink lots of coffee to stay awake in the wee hours of the night, and watch lots of movies.